Hello, today we have our special guest, Tony Artist, our percussionist extraordinaire. and we're going to have a brief interview with him about his upcoming course called Music and Spirituality. And so um, he's been around the world and has all kinds of insights and talents. And so it's great to share this interview with you. Um, what inspired you to become a drummer?
My house. My parents were. My mother was a singer and a pianist, and among other things, she was like a Renaissance woman.
Hmm.
And my father was a doctor. Music was always a part of my life in the house all the time. And even if you go to my dad's office, he would have music playing in the waiting room and in the treatment rooms, jazz.
Oh.
And so it was always there. Then right across the street, my uncle was a drum teacher, and he taught. He was the only jazz drummer in Kokomo that taught, and he would set up his trap set in his living room and play. He'd call me, Don't come on over here. I've got a drum set up. So I'd go over and mess around, and it never took. Later on, I found out that I was left-handed, and he was showing me right-handed, and that's why I couldn't relax while I was playing. But I found that out later, and rectified it. But I ended up my first music teacher was my mother, and because we always had a piano in the house, and so she would play and sing, and she was also a graphic artist. She did sculpture and painting and stuff.
Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah, so it was really, you don't realize it as a kid. You're just being a kid.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I look back on it, I was bathed in art, and everything. So my first instrument I studied was trumpet. I took that. I went to a summer band class in the public schools there. And so through that, then I got, once I got out in the community, I got in a couple of groups. And one of the groups I was playing in, the bass player quit. So we didn't know what we were going to do. So the keyboard player and myself, we took turns playing the bass, trying to play the bass, until we could find somebody else. And I was like, I kind of like this. So I ended up, a couple of years later, putting the trumpet down, picking up the bass. So I've been playing bass first since I was 14. Then the drumming didn't come in until I was 39 years old.
Hmm.
I had a jazz group, and we were playing around, and we had a conga player in the jazz group, and that conga player ended up being my first drum teacher. And I went to it was a dance workshop. Chuck Davis with the African American Dance Company from Durham, North Carolina.
Mm.
And he came and brought two drummers with him, a guy and a girl. And so they were drumming for the dance classes. And so I'm out there trying to take the dance class, but they were killing it. I mean, just two pieces. Sometimes they sounded like 3 and 4 people, and I couldn't figure out how that was happening. So I'm so busy trying to watch them and listen to them, I'm missing the dance moves and everything, So and then after the end of the class, I went up and I talked to him. It was brother Khalid Salim and Beverly Botsford, and I said, I don't know what y'all did to me. I said, but I really would like to drum, because Beverly was the one playing the lower drums,
Mm-hmm.
and to me it reminded me of playing the bass.
Mm-hmm.
So I made an instant connection, and he said, well, do you have a drum? I said, no. He said, well, we can have one made for you and send it to you. I said, okay, that'd be great, And in the meantime, I go back and tell, my conga player friend what had happened. He goes, oh, well, he says, I know somebody, because Beverly and Khalid were out in North Carolina. He said, I've got a friend right over here in Cleveland that makes drums. And so I ended up going over there, or they ended up making a drum for me, and that was my first drum, is a doom doom. That's one of the bass drums. And so that's how I started.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So it was a long trip.
Yeah. And so when you look back to that point in your life, did you ever expect that you would become a global expert on drumming with all your travels to Brazil, Ghana, and Cuba?
Mm-hmm. Never did. It was a side gig. I was trained as an architect and I had a degree in architecture, and that's what I was my main avocation was. Then I was just playing music on the weekends. And so I never thought that it would lead to all this, and I'm really happy. So I'm really happy that it did.
Yeah.
Because I always wanted to hit the road, but this was a different version of the road.
Yeah.
Not so grueling.
Yeah.
And the times I didn't have to go travel to work. I managed to get grants to go study in those places, and so that made it work.
So you were very entrepreneurial.
Oh yeah, and because I've been, with my mother, she was an at-home mother, but she always had her potter's wheel and kiln and the piano and stuff there in the house. And then Dad, he was the first one on that side of my family to go to college.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So he used to, one of the things he used to tell me, he said, if you make your living doing what you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
Right.
And that stuck with me, and so
yeah.
I didn't know what I was going to do with it, but here I am.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a privilege to be able to be a creative artist. Yeah. Yes. Okay, so what insights have you gained from teaching children in public schools, special needs classes, and nonprofit organizations?
The main insight that I've gained is the healing aspect of it, especially when working with the kids with disabilities. One of the main things that happened to me that I remember the most is I was working with a kid who was a little girl. She was quadriplegic in a wheelchair, and I had different appliances that I could use to help people hold the instruments and stuff like that. So I had these straps that went around the outside of your hand and around the handles of a maraca. So I strapped her hand into the maraca, and she started moving it. And the therapist went nuts. They're like, she hasn't moved like that in years. And I'm like, oh, wow. It was just something told me to give her that maraca. It was something in her eyes.
Yeah.
I could see that she really wanted to play this. And she moved her hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I got to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other people, they don't realize that you're already a musician. It's maybe you're not on TV or you're not on recording or anything like that, but music is a big part pretty much of everybody's life. Through my studies, I found that every culture on the planet has a drum that is native to that culture. Like even the European, for instance in Ireland, it's the badran. It's like a big frame drum, and they have a little stick that has knobs on each end of it, and they rock it back and forth to hit the surface of the drum. And there's all kind of stuff, but people don't realize they have their own drum with them all the time, which is the body.
Yeah.
And so it makes it up for a universal appeal and a universal goal.
Yeah.
You know. to show people.
Yeah.
And that's where the spirituality comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And so I use the music as a gateway
Mm-hmm.
to the spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll find that music is used in pretty much every culture for spiritual purposes.
Right. Right. Can you show an example of how you can use your body as an instrument?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Well, we got especially, well, I found out, I used to think it was only in the African American community, but I also found out it's in a lot of the, I'll call them European Americans. I hate using the term white. but yeah, so it's a thing called the ham bone. And the ham bone is using your, well, first of all, you're using your thigh, which is the equivalent of the ham bone, because the ham comes from the thigh of the pig. And so you can slap your hand on your thigh like that and come up and slap your chest. Then on the way back down, slap your thigh with the top of your hand. So you get a whip action. And then if you practice it, you can do it really fast.
Thank you. A great performance of ham bone. Okay, so what is the title of your course?
Well, it's going to be music and spirituality.
Okay.
But the goal, and I'm thinking about maybe incorporating that into the title, which is everybody can play music.
Yeah.
And so that's the goal. You know, the goal will be to come in and study the music so that at the end of the course you have a recorded piece of music that you wrote and performed.
Yes.
So
And that would be a great accomplishment for a lot of people.
Sure.
In this technical world that we live in. You know, people think everything is digital. Everything comes from some machine, but just like you just demonstrated, anybody can do a ham bone kind of move.
Yep. And that digital age is almost become an adversary.
Oh yeah.
You know, because it's taking people away from the natural music.
Right.
And I've noticed, like in film scores, I was reading an article on a lot of the film score artists are using the same software for the sounds and stuff. So a lot of it sounds the same.
Yeah.
And so we got to get back to, and even the recording process where they isolate everybody. You know, you go in that room, shut the door. Bass player, guitarist, you're over here. Everybody's in separate rooms, and that's not the way, say, like jazz and all the music was made. You know, you have to have, it's all vibration. So you want to be able to bounce off each other.
Right.
And, you know, in a separate situation like that, you still get good music.
Yeah.
But it's not, there's an element, it's almost indescribable. It's a feel.
Right.
And it's not there.
Yeah. Because it's a community experience.
Exactly.
And just like with jazz, a lot of people in the audience, if they've never been to a jazz concert, you know, they don't realize that it's okay to clap after a musician does a solo.
Yep.
Or at the end of the music or at the end of the set, you clap because it's the audience and the musicians and the music that make the community.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm not opposed as a performer. I like it when somebody, if some certain note hits a certain spot in that person, they, yeah, you know, they'll call out, do it. and it's like, you know, it's like when folks go to the movies. A lot of times, especially black folk, they'll be hollering, "Don't go in there, fool! The monster's in there." You know, and it's but it's still an interaction, like you said. It's not. In a lot of the music, especially classical music, you sit there, you know, you listen and everything. And at the end, you're like, oh, you know, this ain't that.
Yeah. Okay. And then what is the learning objective that you want to achieve with your course?
Good question. Well, basically, to expose people to another aspect of themselves. Music is sound. Sound is vibration. And control of that vibration is, and some people think it's magic, because it can heal. You can also hurt people with music based on what the lyrics and what is being played. You have to be very careful when you play an instrument or sing, which is another instrument too, because whatever is the general vibration of your body at that time, the music just amplifies it. And so you have to be careful about, it's like, a lot of times you go to work even though you're not feeling too good. Well, if you do that as a singer or a performer, it's going to come out in your playing.
Yeah.
And so you have to be very careful. So seeing how that connection is made between music and spirituality, and by spirituality I don't mean religion. I mean the spirit, the thing that you come in with and you leave with when you leave this life. And so trying to help people understand how to raise their own vibration, and through that raise the vibrations around them.
Yes.
Because we're all connected.
Right.
But that's been lost, especially in this digital age. Everybody's walking around looking at your cell phone.
Right.
Even walking up and down the street, I almost hit a kid one time.
Yeah.
He walked right out in front of me, And I'm like, so it's and I think we're finally used to we've been around the technology long enough. Because I'm 75 and I can remember when we didn't have any cell phones.
Right.
I remember as a kid, the big innovation was a transistor radio. I remember I got one, and it would only get AM. We didn't even know about FM then, and that was the thing. It came with a little earphone, man, and you thought you was the stuff, boy. Couldn't tell me nothing. And now look at it. You got in the same size thing. You've got anything you want to do. It's a recording studio. It's a set of instruments. It's a video camera. It's all that.
Right.
And to see that progression.
Yeah.
Whew. Yeah. So it's to make people aware that that the technology should be used as a tool rather than be the thing.
Yes. Yes.
Because and I catch myself doing it. Like being on my cell phone instead of down there practicing or something like that, and so it's just it's an awareness.
Yes. Okay. So then at the end of this 6-week course, what is the goal that will be achieved by each student?
You have a recording of some music that you studied, wrote, and performed.
Okay, great.
And so you can say, and then hopefully that will lead on to further studies.
Right. Okay. And then what level of class will this be? Beginner, intermediate, or advanced?
That's a good question, because I thought about it. I'll be able to offer all 3 levels. The problem with the beginners usually is that they don't own an instrument already. So, and most of the intermediate and advanced players have several instruments. So what I'm going to have to do is create, in the beginners, we're going to also make a drum. And it's a frame drum. Looks like a picture frame. And you'll see the frame drum is very popular in most cultures, the Native American, Nigerian, all kind of. And it's a drum that's made out of a wood frame that I make in my shop. And then instead of animal skin or plastic, we use plastic packing tape. for the head.
Mm.
And it's an actual drum.
Mm.
My first drum teacher, the guy that I said with in Cleveland, Jabal Harris, that was the first drum he had you make before you learned how to make the real drums, because all the principles are there.
Yeah. Okay.
And so that way you can come in, the beginning class, you'll come in, you'll make your drum, then you use that drum in your studies, and the goal will still be the same. Use that drum to write some music and play some music and record it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And then will this be a series of courses?
Yeah, this will be the first of a series. You know, like it's and based on what level you're coming in at, you know, beginner, intermediate, or advanced. We'll get into there's all kinds of, it's endless.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been a musician most of my life, and I'm still studying. So, and it never ends. There's always another level that you can reach, or another aspect of it that you hadn't thought about.
Yes.
That you run across somebody and boom.
Yeah.
So yeah, so there'll be and I'm kind of still developing those. I'm in the process of because I've taught for so long. It's just a matter of going in and figuring out which things to do, and it's going to actually change with each class, because the composition of each class is different.
Right.
So the needs are going to be different. So I like to address individual needs as well as group needs.
Okay. Great. Well, I'm sure there's plenty of students out there in the world who are looking forward to your class and expressing themselves and digging deeper and getting away from the electronic and digital influences. Mm-hmm. So thank you very much for your time, and looking forward to seeing your courses.
Oh, well, thank you for having me.
Thank you.